Hi, hello everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome you all to the Thursday for Technology series. This is a 22nd session. Whoever missed last 21 sessions, I request you to please watch the same channel, the Excelism. In that, you can find all the 21 videos in the playlist called Thursday for Technology. Without taking much time, let me jump into the today's session. What is important and why I have taken this session? In fact, last session I promised I'll continue the Python session as part two, but I'll take it maybe next week because just 4 days back, one more new update into the pivot table introduced. That is, sorry, with respect to the Python, that is Python code template, where you can write the Python code very easily instead of writing into the formula bar. Okay. So considering that, I probably will take next week or maybe after that week, I'll take a second part of the Python session. In today's session, I would like to concentrate 5 Power Query solutions. In last 1 week, I at least every day, at least one or other, either for chartered accountant or for some other professional, whoever stuck up with Microsoft Excel, I support. In fact, last 1 week, I got more questions towards the Power Query related. Considering that, whatever the solution which I have provided for them, I thought I should take a session on Power Query, small 5 problems, how you can solve. There's a question from Arun Ranga, Power Query GST reconciliation. Sir, GST reconciliation Power Query is not something, a very simple statement. Probably I may plan a session soon on that because that is case to case how the books of accounts are and so on. Okay, so let's go into the session. Can someone please confirm whether my voice is clear so that I can go ahead? In the meanwhile, let me tell you all of you, like any other session, there is a folder called Thursday for Technology. In that, all these working files access you'll be having. If you can click the description link. If you go to the description of this video, you'll find a Dropbox link. Once you click it, I'm 100% sure you can get all these files, entire folder data. Not only this particular folder, all the last 21 sessions data, you will be in a position to get it. Thank you so much, Pradeep sir, for the confirmation. Let's look into the topics, what I would like to cover in today's session. The first topic is, let's unpivot the data. The second topic, let's combine 2 or more tables. Third one, how to change dynamically the source. Fourth one, how you can create the custom data types. Fifth one, how you can analyze any data which is there in the folder. First is first, let's go into this. Let's look into the concept called unpivot columns. You all may be surprising if you are not sure about the Power Query. What is this concept of unpivot? We all know that there is a concept called pivot. Pivot is basically what, let me unhide a sheet here called raw data. If I want to summarize this data, I probably can use a concept called pivot table. Now what I can do, let me select this entire data. I'll go to the insert. I'll click pivot table. I'll click pivot table. This is the data for which I want to insert a pivot table. Where I want to get my pivot table into the existing worksheet. Probably I want to get my pivot table from here. Let me click OK. Now I can drag and drop my fields into any of these 4 parts that could be filter, columns, rows, and values. Let me take company into the rows. Let me take area into the columns. Let me take sales into the values, so that you got 2 column of data having rows columns and values. In one dimension, you are having company. In the other dimension, you are having area. Wherever the company and area intersect, you got the summary of the data. This is unpivot data. This is pivot data. If you have the data like this, converting into this form, you need not to go to the Power Query. Simply, you can do with using Microsoft Excel. But let me hide this sheet. If I got the data like this from either client or anyone, then how I need to manage this data? How I can convert this data into the form of original data? Pivot table, you can only do the pivot. You can't do unpivot in the pivot. Okay. So for which I will be taking you to the Power Query. Whoever not sure about what is Power Query, I request you to please watch my Thursday for Technology video. In one session, I've taken very elaborate explanation what is Power Query. I'm sure that can be a very good guide and beginner for all of you. I request you please go and watch after this session. Now, what I need to do, if at all I want to take any data from the current Excel workbook into the Power Query, that should be either in the form of defined name or that should be into the form of table. First, let me convert this data into the table format. What I need to do, I can go to the insert, click this table. Otherwise, you can use a shortcut Control+T. Otherwise, you can even go to the Home tab. There is a format as table. While you are formatting as a table, since it is not a table, it automatically take you into the table. Now, once you get this pop-up, it is asking what is the range for which you want to convert it to the table. And the second one is your table having headers, so that the first row it consider as a header. Header as a property it store. Even in the Power Query, the header comes automatically. When you uncheck this, first row also it consider as a record. So it's going to give the column names as column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5. It will not be considered in the Power Query automatically. You know how to promote the header. In this case, let me take my data as headers. Let me click OK. Now, this is what my table data. Now, I want to give the name of this table. It is always a good practice to give a proper names so that you can understand what tables are there later. I always start a nomenclature, a standardization, any table which start with TB so that I can understand if anything which comes in the TB while I'm writing any formula or function, it in the drop down, I consider it's a table name. TB, let's take pivot data because this pivot data I want to unpivot. Let's enter. The name of this particular table is TB pivot data. Let's go to the data tab. I'm sorry. Let's go to the data tab. In the data tab, get and transform data, this part, get and transform data, this part, I consider as the Power Query. Whoever using any Excel version after 2016, I'm sure you'll find a group in the data tab with the name called get and transform data. Now I want to take this data into my Power Query. Either you can go to the other queries from this table. Otherwise, very simple. There is a ready-made option on the top. You just click it. Now this data will take you into the Power Query. Now this data will take you into the Power Query, right? If you can see here, whenever I open this, automatically on the top, it is giving me the quality of the data, whether it's a valid data in this particular column, whether are there any errors, whether are there any empty cells and so on. If you don't want this to be displayed, you can simply go to the view tab and uncheck column quality. Otherwise, click column quality. Anything is fine. Now I want to uncheck right. Now let me select all these columns. If you can go to the transform, Power Query is basically a transformation tool. You can transform the data into any shape. Okay, it's an ETL tool basically. You can extract the data. In fact, I extracted this data from the current Excel worksheet table with the name called TB pivot data. Now I am doing transformation. Now, then after that, I'll take this data back into my Microsoft Excel. That is what loading. Here, if you come to the transform tab, there is a group called table. In the table, there is an option called unpivot columns. This is the one very important for this particular topic. What I need to do, because these all are the columns I want to unpivot. That means I want for each company all these areas should come one below other so that the entire data comes into the raw data format. Now let me select this, select all the columns. How to select all the columns? Once you select the column, hold the shift key, select other column by using arrow keys, just click and pivot columns. Once I click that, automatically entire data which is there in 4 columns appeared in 2 columns. One column is nothing but the headers. The second column is nothing but the values. It has by default given a name called attribute and value. Let me change this attribute as area because anyway, I know that this is area related data. This is a sales related data. Let me put the name called sales. If you can see right side in the Power Query, you got the source. I got this source from the Excel.current workbook from the name TD pivot data. I want to get a column called content. Friends, for every step in the Power Query, it's going to give you one M function. M means mashup function because we are doing transformation. For every transformation, there is a function at the back end that is an M function. So for unpivot columns, there is a M function it has written. And if you can observe carefully, when you are using the user interface, by default for the next step, the previous step is the field. So if I want to do the unpivot, if you can see the source is nothing but the reference to the previous step. On the previous step, please apply this function. If you can come to the rename sheets, unpivot columns is the previous step. So previous step is the feed for this. Now I can simply take my data, close and load to. There are 4 ways of loading this data, either in the table or in the pivot table or as a pivot chart or as a only connection. Let me take it as a existing worksheet. I don't want to get this data into the new Excel worksheet. I want to get my final data here. I can simply click OK. Very beautifully, it has pasted the data. Now I want to use the same format. Maybe this is the format. 1 second. Yeah, let me use the same format so that that also looks in the same way. Excellent. Now what I am looking for, I'll insert a new row here. Now I am going to keep a company called Saran, my name. I am trying to keep some values here equal to random between 10, 100. Just I am keeping a small value so that we can cross check whether it is really come here or not. Since I change my source, this data already got already got imported into the Power Query. I have done some transformation on this table. Finally, this is what the result. Now, if I can go to the data, if I click refresh, this particular Saran will be added here. Let me refresh, check it out. That Saran data automatically added. So if you can add one more item, let me put another item with the name called Mr. Maruti. Let me take 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I can just come here, right click, refresh, it will not come, but you have to, yeah, it came automatically. Either you can come here, refresh, otherwise you can go to the refresh all, automatically it will come. So this is one I have updated. And this is the second one I have updated. Automatically my data got updated. This is the meaning of unpivot columns. I'm sure you all got clear information how when you have already a data in the wide format, how you can get the data into the columnar shape is unpivot columns. Let me save it and close it. Let us look into the another topic for today's session. Let's combine 2 or more tables. In fact, this one also asked by one of the friend. Let me tell you the context so that you can understand what I'm going to explain. Friends, for example, country is there, then region is there. This region I want to get for each country. Then what we do manually, we will put country here, then we'll put region here, then we'll put region. Then what we'll be doing? What we'll be doing? I will take the India, I will copy this and paste here. I'll fill India below. Then I'll take USA. Then I'll copy this and I'll paste here. This is a manual work I do it. This is the manual work I do. I'm sure you all agree and do in the same way. This is okay. Since only 2 items are here, 4 items are here, you could easily do it. Understand a situation where these countries are 100. For each country, I want to have a region. Then what you are going to do? It's going to be very difficult keeping this type of data, preparing the data into this shape. Don't worry, let me take this. As I mentioned, this problem I'll solve using the Power Query. Let us try to understand how I'll solve the problem. Since the data is in the current Excel workbook, as I mentioned, it should be either in the table format or into the defined name format. Get this data into the Power Query. So what I'll be doing, let me convert this into the table format. Let me also convert this into the table format. Now I want to give the name of this table as TB region. For this, let me quickly do TB country, enter. There are two tables. Now what I'll be doing, I'm going to take both the tables into the Power Query. Let's go to the data, from table or range. I don't want to do any changes. Let this be as it is. While I close and load, I don't want to load the data back into my Microsoft Excel because I just want to create as a connection. I don't want to use this final result into my Excel. So I'll just create only as a connection. Let me click OK. So that it created as a connection at the backend. Now what I'll be doing, I can just take the second table also into the Power Query. I'll close and load the two. Excellent. Only as a connection. Click OK. Now there are two tables at the backend. Now what I can do, I'll open a launch Power Query editor. I can right click here. I can go to the new query. I can go to other sources. Otherwise, you can have a blank query also. That's possible. Okay, if you want, you can have even the blank query. Otherwise, if you want to have a blank query from here itself, I can go here. I can go to other sources. I can have a blank query. So you can even have a blank query. I'm just trying to see where is an option of blank query. Let's see. Yeah, this is the blank query. Let me click this. So it's going to give you a query by default with the name called query one. Let me give this name as a table in the other table. So combine tables. But it has nothing is there because I have not written any function. So first let me load TB country. So what I'll be doing equal to TB country. Once I enter, that table will come here. Now, very important step. Now I will add a new column with a name called custom column. But before this, let me tell you a little background about the Power Query. In Microsoft Excel, in one single cell, you cannot fit any list of 5 values. Anything you cannot fit more than 1 by 1 matrix into Microsoft Excel cell. Thanks to recent update, recent in the sense couple of years, there is a data type they introduced where as a data type, you can put more than one value into one single cell. If you want, you can get that value using the formula. Like in Python, how we are having a data frame. If you want to get the inferences out of the data frame, only you can get using the data type. So that's an object they call. Here, but in the Power Query, in one single cell, not only a value you can store, you can even have a binary, you can even have a list, you can even have a table, you can even have a record. Okay. Now, if I can go to the custom column, it means I want to add a new column to this data. Let me add a new column called test. If I can just put my name Saran space Kumar from India. If I just click OK, the same text will be displayed for every record. The same text displayed at every record. If you can see, there is a function, it has automatically written table.add column. For this particular M formula, apply on the previous step, that's a source step. That's the column name is a test column. For each row, try to give this string. Now, what I'll be doing, I'll click this. I want to edit this. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to keep here a region. Okay. Region table, TB region. Otherwise, you can just keep it as a region because it's a table name. It can be anything. Now, instead of me giving one value here, I want to get TB region. You may be surprising, Saran, because it's a single value, it's stored for each row. Now you're trying to get a table for each row. Is it possible? Of course, I told you at the introduction of the Power Query that Power Query, one single cell can even hold a table. It can even hold a list, nothing but a column. It can even hold a record, nothing but a row. It can even hold a binary that can be either workbook, Excel, or CSV file, and so on. Let me click OK. Now, because it is a table, now this is a scalar value. I got scalar is nothing but a single value. I got this value. But when you keep any, you just select anywhere in the white space of this particular cell. Otherwise, if you click it, that table will expand. I will click here so that the preview I can see a region came here. India, besides, there is a table. USA, besides, there is the same table. Now, what I'll be doing, because it is a table, it is giving you an option to expand. There is a button called expand. If I click this, it is asking me to expand all the columns. In fact, it's having only one column. Let me select that region. If I click OK, it expanded this entire table for every value in the country, right? Let me rename this as region. Let me rename this as region. This is what exactly I'm looking for. Now what I can do, I can just close and load the two. I can just close and load the two. I want to load in the same Excel worksheet. Keep it here. Click OK. Wow. Wonderful. Now if I can put a China here, if I come back here, right click, refresh. Wow. For example, if I put Australia, if I can just go here, right click, refresh, you got even the data for Australia also. Okay, but this is a manual task, very difficult. This is in case of two tables. If more than two tables are there, how we can handle? Don't worry. Don't worry. Now I have taken product also into the picture. Now what I'll be doing, let me insert for the time being, let me hide these two columns, not required for me, right? I don't, okay, hide this column also, not required to me, right? Now I want to get product, Control C, Control V. Now what I want to do for each India, for each East, for each region, for I want all these products. So what ideally I want to give for India, East, all these products. India, West, all these products. India, South, all these products, and so on, and so on. Now, what I'm going to do, then then how many rows will come? Can anyone tell mathematically? 4 into 4 into products are 6. You'll be having 96 rows because for every country, every region, there is a product. Now, what I'll be doing, I think I'm correct with respect to my maths. If I'm wrong, excuse me. Let me convert this into the table format. I want to take this table name into TB product. Now, what I need to do, I will simply take this table also into the Power Query. Let's go to the data, take this table, TB product, fine, close and load, close and load. Create as a connection, click OK. Now, very simple. Since already I combined these two, you can directly go to the Power Query. I can now go to the Launch Power Query Editor, Launch Power Query Editor. Either you can now go to this particular table already, whatever I have created, add a custom column with the name called, this is product table, right? In the product table, I want to take TB product, click OK. Now for every unique row, this table will be expanded. Now you got the idea what I'm trying to get. Now I want that particular product name to be expanded. Now this is what my table, I can just go to the home, I can close this data, load, this data will refresh with extra column called product. But for every item of India, East product and so on, 96 records are there. That's what the maths which I have done. Now if you want product G, now I want maybe this as a not separate, this as a central. I want to add one more country, maybe I can take it Sri Lanka. Let me take one more. Let me take Pakistan. Now, when I come here, refresh, boom, everything came. How many records came? 210. Otherwise, doing this manual work, it's gonna be very difficult. Now, let me do the same thing in another way. What we have done here, first I combined these two tables, then I combined for that result third table. But why can't I do all three together? Of course, it is possible. What I'll be doing, I'll simply go to in the same way, but instead of doing in one way, you can even do all the three also. I can go here. This can be the same method. I'll be taking the first one, then I'll take second and I'll take third. Anyway, this method is fine with you. Okay, so a very simple, let me recap what I have done. When you have a table and you want to take each item for the table, then probably you can just take one after other and you can uh, get as a custom table, custom column, take this table so that for every item, it's going to give this. For the result, then you can start taking this as simple as it, right? So this is with respect to the second concept. Let's combine two or more tables. Let's combine two or more tables. Let's look into the third one, dynamic change of source data. What is the meaning of it? Let's look into this third folder. Third folder called sales data. Let me have the sale January month data. I got three columns. One is the company, the other one is the area, the other one is the sales. Now I want to do some analysis on the data. What I do, instead of doing directly there, let me take another Excel. Let me take Excel number 3, dynamic data analysis. Let me open this. Let me open this. I want to get the data here. So I want to get this time Microsoft Excel workbook file. Now I want to take Thursday for technology. In that 5 Power Query solutions. In that, let me take sales data. Let me take the January month. Click import. I am importing the January month data. There are two ways. Either you can directly select this, otherwise you go here and you can get the data. Now what I can do, I can just go to the sheet 1. Let me click transform data so that this data will come into the Power Query. Now you can see the steps what I have done. I went into the source and I've taken this particular path data. Then I went into the navigation. From that, I've taken the sheet 1. I've taken the sheet 1, which is a sheet kind. But in this data, what is the problem? The data is not in the shape of headers are not properly taken care. So I want to promote the headers. So you can go to the home tab, use first row as the header. Very good. Once I get this, now I want to do some analysis on this data. Now I want to group by. I want to go to advanced. I want to add company wise, area wise. I want to have the sales for which column. I want to apply sum for a column called sales. I also want to have sales. Okay, new column is count. Let me have this as a total sales, right? I want to have count. Let me use distinct rows. Let me have, otherwise, let me use the average here, right? Let me have sales because count could be anything. Now let me have the last column called count. I want to count number of all number of distinct rows instead. Let's count all the rows. If I click OK, it's going to give me in that format. For each combination, what is the total sales, what is the average, and what is the cost? Excellent. Now I want to get this data into my, Power Query. But before taking that data, what I'll be doing, I'll just put this in the ascending order. Let me just take this data. Let's put in the ascending order. Okay. You can do n number of transformation. Whatever the transformation you do, that comes here one below other. Now what I can do, I can just close and load this data. I can close and load this data where in the same Excel, maybe I want to take from A3. Let me click enter. Excellent. Here, if you want, you can have, in fact, your own formatting. I don't want this much, so I can have two decimal. The count is fine. I want to have the total sales. Now, suddenly, if I ask you a question, I want this analysis should be for the February month. I want this analysis should be for the February month. What I need to do ideally, I should double click here because at the source, I have to change it. I have to go to the source. Then I have to go here. I should change instead of Jan, but to February. Then come out. It automatically does the work for you. Then close and load. Now these values will change. It's going to take these values. Now the February values automatically got changed. But every time, instead of me going into the Power Query and do the changes, now let me give this as summary of month sales. Every time, instead of me going into the Power Query doing a change, why can't I directly do here itself? So if I can put a drop down here, month name, okay, have a look, month drop down. Let me have a drop down. I can have Jan. Otherwise, this is an option where I'm just going to give the month exactly. I want to give into the format what is required. Now, automatically here, I can probably take in this way. Please have a look. Let me cut here, paste here, right? Now, once I take the month here, the month should now the link because it is a path, right? What is the path? Go to the sales data. If I can just go to any particular path, right click, I want to copy this path, Control C. I can just go here. I'll do Control V. This is my path, right? This is my path. But if I can put here Jan 23, this path should automatically change as a Jan 23. If I make it Feb, automatically this should change. Then what I need to do, I can write a small formula from here till here, keep it as a text, then remove this, then put on the symbol because I'm joining this part. Again, I'm joining with the last part. That means there are three things which I'm combining here. One, the entire path except the month name. Then I've taken the month because the file name is a month name. Then I've taken .xlsx because this file can have other format XLSM. Excel should not confuse which format it should pick up. That's the reason it is taking. Now later, if I change here, now let me just to see here if I can make it February. Let us see whether it got changed or not. Let me take it as a February. Now, if you can see this particular data, now if you can see this particular small path, it's giving me February. Now, what I'm going to do, I will convert this table, this particular item into the table format. Let me click OK. Once I convert this into the table format, now I'll just give the name of this particular table as TB link. Now I will take this table into the Power Query. Let me go to the data, get data from the table. Let me click this. This data will go into the Power Query, right? So what I'll be doing now, I will simply, because I'm interested on this particular item, I can right click, I will drill down. It is nothing but it's going to give the first record of the source table link column. I can simply even write here itself. I need not to go there. Here, I can have 0. I can have 0. That means first row, which column? Link column. Still, you will get the same thing. But you may confuse if I put everything into one. So it can be even into the next step also. If generally people like me who generally work with Power Query in assignments, instead of having so many steps, in one step itself we'll do. So what is the meaning of it? In the current Excel workbook, take the name of table called TB link. In that content column, in that you take a first row. 0 means because Power Query index start from 0. Like in the last session, what I told, even in the Python data frame index by default starts with 0. This is the column name. So column name indicates in the square bracket, right? Row number indicates with a flower bracket. Now, this is a value. This value, I want to link here. What I'm going to do, I'll go here. Instead of this entire text, what I am going to keep simply TB link, so that if that particular table gets changed, this will change automatically. If this gets changed, this automatically changes. Now what I'm going to do, I will just close and load 2. create as a connection because this particular table I don't want to load. But anyway, since this already loaded, this value will come. Now, what I'm going to do, if I make it March, MAR, now you can refresh, boom. If I make it, for example, February, just come back here, refresh. But if I make it April, you will get an error because in the folder, April file is not there. It's going to give you an error. Don't worry, I'll go back to the April, copy this February, paste here. Let me rename it as April 23. Let me open this file just for the identification whether this is correct or wrong. Now I'll take very small numbers equal to random between 0 to 5. Copy paste special values. Now April is ready. Now if I can just put April, now if you can refresh, you got the April data. So if you change this, automatically this will change. If this changes, my Power Query will pick up this value. Because this is having a link to the summary of the month source, automatically it will pick up from this link. Finally, this is the summary it's going to make it. Okay. This is with respect to the third functionality called dynamic data analysis. Dynamic data analysis. What is the fourth one? Create custom data type. Let me rename this as a custom data type. I'm sure in Microsoft Excel, you all are aware there is a concept called data type. What is this concept? Let me take a new Excel. What is this concept? If I put India, if I just take this, if I can go to the data, if I can connect this data to the geography, this is going to give me some information about India. Let me select India. Very good. So this is a geography picture. This we call it as a card. Even in the last session of Python, I've shown you text frame or series come as an object, which is nothing but a card. Once you click it, you can see what information is there in the card. This they have taken from the Bing. Lot of information, lot of information. And if you can keep here, there is an option here, insert data. Once you click, what type of data you can insert from here, you will get to know. What I'm going to do now, I'll simply take this dot. I want to know the population. Let's take this population, enter. I want to know from this particular India, the country, I want to know the area. It has given me the area, maybe in kilometers, square kilometers. Okay, if I take probably this capital major city, it's going to give New Delhi. Now, if I change it China, all these will automatically change to China. 1 second. Let me select the China because the same name of China is there at many places. Maybe let me take United States of India, USA. It just trying to understand United States. Yeah, and so on. This is the data type. But this is only for the things which has given by Microsoft Excel. That could be a stocks data, currencies data, geography, or even organization. This organization related data also you can get it. Let me talk in the Power Query how you can use this functionality. Now, if you could see here in the text file, I kept a link. What this link is, let us see what this link you can understand. I want some statistics of India. This statistics I can find from this particular link. Let me open this link so that you can understand what it is. Yeah, this is a very simple state name is there, capital is there, population, area, sex ratio, literacy, life expectancy, the number of vehicles, and so on. Okay, a lot of data is there, but I don't want this entire data to be part of my Microsoft Excel. As I mentioned, Power Query source could be even a web data. Let me copy this link. I'm opening a blank Excel. Let me save this Excel file as I'm talking about the fourth topic. This topic name is create custom data types. Okay. Now I'll go to the get data. Let me go to other sources. Let's go to the web. Let me paste this link, click OK. Now it will start reading the link. However, the internet connection is required. Now, the data which I am looking for is there in the first sheet. Is there in the first sheet. So what I'll be doing, I'll simply click transform data so that it will take me to the Power Query editor of Microsoft Excel. Okay, it has taken me to the Power Query editor, that entire data. I need to do some transformation. What I can do, header has not taken properly. Let me use the first row as a header. I want to take this as a state, this as a capital, population, and so on. It seems there are a couple of blank rows. In fact, one blank row is there. I don't want blanks to be displayed. So what I'll be doing, I'll just select this, uncheck blank so that I filtered out the blank rows. Right now, what I am looking for, I will just select this X, including first sheet, first column. I'll select all the columns. So what do you need to do? Hold the shift key. Just go to the right side. Just go to the right side. Right? Then click this so that you selected all the columns. Otherwise, Control A. Otherwise, you can just select this, shift right arrow till the end. Anything is fine. Once you select this, there is an option in the transform, the last one, structured column. Now you can take this, create data type. Once I click this, you have an option called basic. What is the data type name you want? I want the sales. What it should be displayed? It should be displayed, the display column must be states. That means I want only state column so that I can get entire this information as a card. Okay. If you want to have an advanced feature, you can go into the feature, what only the columns which are available and so on. Let's go into the basic. I'm looking for every column. Let me click OK. So that all the columns got deleted? No. It has just grouped as a data type. Now what I'll be doing, this is the custom data type example, just as a query name, right? Now I'll just go to home, close and load so that this data will be loaded into a new Excel worksheet with the name called custom data type example. It's taking a little time, don't worry, because it has to take from the web. Wow, absolutely, it has given you the data. Tomorrow, even if you got 50 columns data to the Power Query, you need not to load the entire 50 columns back into Microsoft Excel. Not required. Because if at all really something required, I can use by using a formula, I can get everything the extract. But what is required? The required is you better group everything as a data type, custom data type. Now, if you can just go here, keep a card, it's going to show all the information of every column. Now, if you can see, this is what add a column if you want to extract any of the field. Now, what I'll be doing, I'll write a small formula equal to this. I want to write a formula of capital, enter. Wow. I want to write another formula. Maybe I want to take this dot. I want to take Lok Sabha constituencies, enter. Right? I want to take one more function here equal to this dot. I want to take it, maybe the literacy rate, enter. Look into your organization data where the data could be 100 columns, but whatever the column which is required, I can simply write a formula. This dot, automatically you will get it, right? So this is about custom data type using Power Query. The last but not the least for today's session, analysis of the files in the folder. What is the meaning of it? Always we feel a lot of discomfort with respect to the data, how we store. Sometimes we want to clean up the downloads, but even we want to delete, but always we have a doubt that maybe some useful information is there. So generally, once we download, we don't cut and paste, we copy and paste. So there is a redundancy of the data in your system, duplicate of the data. Instead, what I can do, I can start analyzing my data out of the entire downloads. How many files are having more size? Otherwise, out of my entire desktop. Now, can we do that type of a small analysis? With my downloads, of course, we can do. Let me open a new Excel file. Let's go to the data. In the Power Query, instead of taking workbook or table or even the web, how we have done for the previous cases, this time let me take it folder. Now, what folder you want to analyze? I want to analyze the folder called downloads. Let me take downloads. Let me click OK. It's going to give me all the folders, subfolders in that the files, right? I don't want to get this data because I'm not interested about what files are there. I'm only interested about transform data because I want to see what are the files, what is a path, what is a update date, then date access, date modified. Very important in case of forensic, especially when you are doing any forensic audits. This particular date accessed, date modified, date created is very important because it's going to take that timestamp. When you look into the folder, only one timestamp will appear, the last modified. But whenever you look into this Power Query, you can find even date access, date modified, and date created. See, normally when we see any file in the folder, let me show you a file, it's having only 4. If you want, you can have more, but not required. Generally, we don't keep it. If you want, you can have a size, date created, others, categories, tags, titles. But here you see how many parameters are there? Content, name, what is the extension, date accessed, date modified, date created, attributes, folder path. What is the meaning of attribute? Sharon, whatever I have given currently are important. If you want more information, you can go here. Oh my God, more than another 20 different columns which a file is having. So you can capture a lot of information out of this. Now what I want to know the kind, I want to know the size, I want to know whether it's a read-only file or not, whether it's a hidden file or not, whether it's a temp file or not, whether it's a temp file or not. Let me check whether it's an encrypted file or not. Let me check. If you want, you can check any of the, let me check whether it's a compressed file or not. Let me click OK so that I'm expanding these columns. Now you have even path also. Now I want to get this entire data into my Microsoft Excel. Since it is my personal data of my system, I'm not going to store the data into the folder of uh, Thursday for Technology. Please excuse me, but I'll just explain you how I'm doing this. And see how many files are there downloads. That means maybe last 2-3 years, I'm not even deleting anything which is there in the download. One of the very bad habit. Let me see. Oh, 2,000, 3,000 files, 3,500 files. It is still going towards 3,500. More than 3,500, 4,000 files. I did not even realize until I thought of taking this session. Generally, I do a cleaning activity once in a while, but downloads, I kept this in the hard drive somewhere. Just for the session, I loaded this back into my system. Otherwise, I don't keep these many items into the download. 6,000 files. Now, today you go back your hard disk, check it out how many files are there, how many movies are there in that in your office data. Maybe you are not sure in which folder. That folder might be the subfolder of subfolder, some other subfolder. So you better go and start doing your analysis. Let it load. We have another 5 minutes, don't worry. If you feel any of this topic is important for your friend or colleague, I request all of you, it will not take much time for you. Just please take into your social media this particular link or this particular channel. Now, what I'll be doing, I don't want to start analyzing this data. I'll just insert a small pivot table. Let me insert a small pivot table. What I'll be doing, I want to take the size in the row. This is in KB if I'm not wrong. I don't know whether it is in KB or not. Maybe. I think KB, whatever. Okay. So let's go here. Now I want to take the count of the total size. Let me put into the place here. I want to know the kind total. Let's put the count. So have a look. These are the total number of files, 9498. Now I want to do the grouping. Let us see. Now what I want to do the grouping. I don't know even this, what it is. Okay, whatever by default it is given because it is very difficult for me to see whether it's still maybe it is MB till here. Okay, I think it's in KBs. Okay, that's fine. Let me click OK. See, this top files, let us see how much it is contributing. Now I want to look into the size. Let me go to the field list. I want to take the same size here. I want to take same size here. Let me right click. Let me show as the sum. Let me just give percentage of grand total. See, there are just 6 files, which is contributing to 52% of my size. I'm not even sure what it is. Let me double click this. This is contributing almost 20%. Photos. Okay. Okay. There are photos, it seems I downloaded from some hard disk and I kept here. That's fine. Right? I know. Maybe let me double click this just to see. This is also some photos. It's like camera, so on so. Obviously, because high resolution photos, this also, oh, this is photos. This is some OneDrive, this one. Okay, so these files are contributing more. Now what I'll be doing, I'll make my group size. Maybe let me remove one more zero so that you got more. That means out of 9498, let's look into the Pareto analysis. Let's see how we can do this Pareto analysis. I can just take the same kind here. I want to do instead of count, this time count percentage. Now I'm just taking here the count percentage, then sum. This is sum percentage. This is a small Pareto analysis, what we do in case of forensic, in case of data analysis, and so on. Point, not even 0.1, it's sorry, not even 1%. 0.26% of the files are contributing to the 75% of my size. Okay, now if I want to make sure my performance should be faster, then I just need to remove. I need not to delete entire thing. Sometimes we delete this, but we don't delete this. Okay, but if I can delete 25 files, almost it is contributing to 75% of the data. Now, if the same if you want analysis, maybe based on, I want to have based on the file type. Instead of size, let me take the extension. Let's take here. You can see now the extensions. Okay, there are 100 and how many extensions are there? 89 extensions are there. Generally, we think .zip, .pdf, .doc, and so on. You see how many different type of extensions are there. Now, what I wanted to do, I want to do some maybe a sort with respect to large to small, right? So zip files is contributing 50% of the size. Then, of course, this is also part of zip. Then MP4 is very small. I don't keep any related data. Of course, this is also part of zip file. Probably what I can do, I can just take zip, 7z, and rar. Let me right click and group this as zip, remaining everything grouped separately. Now this as the zip files. Right now, if I can probably wanted to see, I don't want to take extension. Oops. I want to take extension 2. Only what are the zip files I can understand. Now you can just take this on the top, large to small, sort, largest to smallest. Zip files are contributing almost 61%. Okay, you can see .exe files are contributing and so on. Okay, you can start doing your own analysis. I don't want to save this file. So let me save this file on my desktop because this is my personal data. I don't want to share with anyone. This is downloads analysis. You can do your analysis with respect to your server data. This is what in the forensic, the first thing we do. What we do, we'll take the entire hard disk, we'll put into the Power Query, we'll start analyzing the data, right? So we'll try to search for the words called personal. When we go here, I can start searching here word with the word called personal and so on. Private, adjustments, okay, and so on. That's the way it works. This is about the fifth topic, analysis of files in the folder. Okay, so all the files, the working files I kept here, guys. For today's session, that's all. I hope you all got some knowledge. My only humble suggestion to all of you, please make sure that these videos reaches big in the number, because these all are the problems. I am not taking all these topics just like that. Whatever the people ask me, when they stuck up somewhere, I take those topics, I compile, I start generally taking the sessions. Okay, this is 22nd sessions. All 22 videos are there in the playlist of the Excelism channel. I request all of you, please subscribe if you are already not subscribed, and request all of you at least once, keep it into your social media. Let more number of people, either chartered accountants or finance domain HR professionals, benefit out of these videos. That's all from my end. Thank you so much. See you all in the next